All right, with me now in the hood, our distinguished engineer Larry Heck of Microsoft Research and General Manager at Bing Experiences, Mike Calcagano. And they're going to tell us all about the research that's going into Cortana, the new personal assistant for Windows Phone 8.1. Larry, Mike, thanks for being here.
Sure, thanks.
This is going to be fun. And I don't want to get off on the wrong foot, but there's already some other popular personal assistant phones out there. There's the one that Surrey, I think people have heard of, the less chatty sibling Google. Now, what makes, and this is what everybody's going to be wondering, what makes Cortana different, better than her counterparts?
Yeah, well, I'll take that. I think, the first thing that we, set out to do was really, we didn't overly focus on, products that were already in the market. I think Google Now, Siri, they're actually excellent products. They're useful, right? Our goal was really to, build something useful ourselves, right? It's like, I don't think we set out with a goal in building Cortana to, knock off Siri or knock off Google Now. Our goal was really to make the phone better, right? So I think there's, insofar that they do interesting things, I think there's some natural overlap in terms of like, what we think an assistant should do. I do think we made some different choices in terms of, what we envisioned assistant to be, right? Where we wanted the assistant to go, and some of the, kind of design choices we made around how we actually realized her on the phone. The biggest difference, I would say, it's like if you look at the, kind of space together, is that we've really modeled Cortana after the interaction model that we've developed with Cortana really is that of it's a real assistant, right? We use as a North Star, the metaphor of having a real assistant, right? A competent, personal, professional assistant that you could use and count on to get through your day, right? And so things like the notebook, right? Things like, what the assistant can do right away for you, right? The ability of the assistant to confirm with you, right? Where she should start, where she should stop, what she should know, right? We really think that, it's a design choice that we made early on that will, not only I think does it differentiate what we have in the market now, but I think it'll also cause the assistant to kind of like take its own course, right? As we develop it over time.
Absolutely. And obviously we saw some of Cortana on display this morning during the opening keynote, and it's fascinating to see where it's going and what all of this is doing. Let's talk about the research that's gone into realizing the Cortana advantages, as we're calling it. Larry, what can you tell us about the speech recognition research that Cortana utilizes?
Yeah, so the speech recognition research that's been done here and at other places has been evolving gradually over time. 20 years of investment at Microsoft Research on speech recognition, and a lot of the advances in speech recognition has been due to data and figuring out how to get data fed back into the systems. And this is all based on teaching the computer how to recognize speech by giving it examples, so-called machine learning. So that's been a big foundation for many years in speech recognition. It's that kind of technology is also being now used in other components that you need to pull off something like Cortana. That speech recognition is only one of those pieces. As you recognize speech, you have to then understand what the person is talking about, and so for that, natural language understanding is another component that sits on top of the speech recognizer. Then you have to figure out what you want to do with it, whether if the person's asking you for directions, Cortana has to decide, okay, well, this is relevant information about directions. I want to give that, show a map, for example. And that's taken care of in the dialogue manager component. And then there may be some speech output back to the user to say, okay, these are the directions to the closest Starbucks to you. So there's a text-to-speech synthesis as well. So there's all these different technologies that sit with speech recognition that are required to pull off something like Cortana. And you need to have investments in research in all of those for many years to kind of pull that off.
And so how, for folks watching, how is this speech recognition different from the powers that other personal assistants are using?
Well, I think a lot of, like I say, a lot of advancement in speech recognition is depending on the data and how much data you have that's fed back into the system and the quality of data that you have fed back. And, the amount of data that we're getting right now that we're pulling back, particularly from Bing search, voice search, is tremendous. And, we're extending speech recognition capabilities also into Skype and the Skype translator. for speech-to-speech translation, so that there's speech recognition that occurs when the person is talking in, let's say, English, and then translation and then synthesis into, let's say, German. Well, all of that data on the translator side, and the voice search side, and Cortana side, and all the other speech applications feeds back into a single recognizer that we use across the board, for the whole company. So I think one of the things that's is an advantage for us is that we have so many different scenarios and products that are out there that feed back into this speech recognition technology.
I know a lot of the folks who are joining us online today probably have either only heard of Cortana or only seen a snippet, and seeing and hearing is believing. So let's say we jump into a little demo.
Yeah, sure. I'd be happy to. Don't have a lot of time to show off the full features. I thought for a second I might be able to show off any. Right. So this is just my normal Windows Phone 8.1. Right. It's a Lumia icon. I can get to Cortana one of two ways. I can come in through what we call a live tile, or I can actually just hit the search button here. As you can see here, I'm kind of greeted by Cortana. The spinning circle is kind of her personality and persona. And then peeking up through the bottom here, this is the information that the Cortana has for me. It's information that, based on her knowledge of me, she's prepared for me in advance. So for instance, you see on the screen, it's only, 3 o'clock, 3:30, but, Cortana's thinking like, well, this is probably, around the time where, Mike might be wanting to go home. Right. Sure. And so Larry's laughing because he knows I never go home at 3:30.
He's been outed for leaving early, hasn't he?
Yeah, that's right. So, actually it has my current location. It has a suggested traffic route, and it'll tell me it'll take, if I leave right now, 26 minutes in order to get home. And then if I scroll up, you can see other things that she's gotten for me. One thing that I do is here's some, suggested places around here that I might want to go after work, maybe instead of going home. Some stocks I'm looking at, some news. I'm a fan of the San Francisco Giants. I actually use Cortana to track Cortana. And this notion of the notebook, we find that right here. It's like I can actually, if I want to tell Cortana something about, hey, I'm not interested in the San Francisco Giants anymore, or if I'm interested in another team or another thing, I can actually go into the interests, look over the information that she actually has on me, right, and make some adjustments. So you can see here she's tracking some, flights that I'm going to be on soon, right? There's some, stocks that I'm interested in. She knows I'm interested in eating and drinking and the best nearby, right? So that's kind of like the Cortana and the notebook and how she keeps track of my interests. And of course, you can also speak to her.
Yeah.
One of the
Can
things.
we hear her?
Yeah, sure. I think, just in general, the way we attach the kind of the way we attack the kind of speech part is that, the primary thing that we really wanted to enable Cortana to do, like a real assistant, is to help you get through your day. So putting things on your calendar, knowing where you have to be, reminding you to do things. So I can actually use Cortana to set, person, time, or place-based reminders, right? So going through the same entry point, I can say, remind me to call my mom when I get home.
Remind you to call my mom when you get home.
So here you can see
Sound good?
Yes.
Got it.
So Cortana actually knows where I live, right? She knows that my home is this particular, kind of like what we call a geofence, right? That reminder will trigger when I actually pull into my driveway, right?
Wow,
and I get a nice
really?
reminder on my phone that says, call my mom.
Wow.
We've also built Cortana on top of Bing, so I can answer just, questions that you would expect of a search engine, right? So what's the weather this weekend in Paris?
On Saturday in Paris, there'll be cloudy skies with a high of 80. And on Sunday, there'll be mostly sunny skies with a high of 72.
So what I like about that particular example is rather than just getting, 10 blue links or getting even just a, 5-day forecast, she actually knew that I was asking for, the weather this weekend, and she gave me that exact answer.
There's a lot of meteorologists who are not happy about that.
Yeah, that's right.
They just started sweating.
Yeah, and then back to what we're doing differently, I'll just show one more thing. It's one thing that we really wanted to do with Cortana, and it sounds like kind of fun and games, but we actually think there's a serious reason behind it, is we really did think it was important to imbue her with a very engaging and specific personality, right? So one of the things you can actually do with Cortana is you can ask her anything, right? And we're continuously kind of evolving her personality and updating this stuff, right? So that we feel like it serves two purposes. One is it helps connect the user to, kind of their assistant and helps them build a relationship around trust. And it's also just entertaining and fun.
Well, and the fact of the matter is Cortana is a real person, right?
she's not a real person, and most people don't think she's a real person,
Right.
right? I think,
But there's a real voice behind it.
There is a real voice behind it. So let me I'll demo it and then we'll talk about the voice.
Yeah.
Right. So, do you sleep?
I never sleep. Sleep is for ambulatory carbon-based beings.
So
Very honest answer.
yeah, we get answers like that. So the voice that we actually have is so that audio actually comes from the cloud, right? It's part of our service that powers Cortana, and the voice actress that we asked to record that is actually the same actress that records the character Cortana in Halo, which is Jen Taylor.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I'm lucky enough to live in the Seattle area where Jen lives, and I've worked with her before. So any day now, maybe a year from now, when Cortana's in everybody's pocket, it's going to be the greatest thing to say, hey, I know her.
she's
Yeah,
a
I know
local
Cortana.
gem. Yeah, that's right. She's a local
Cool.
gem. Yeah.
Guys, this is great stuff. Thank you so much for popping by and showing us what you're up to. This is very exciting.
Sure.
Appreciate it.